So how was it seeing your father when you went back to Africa and you met your father again? How was that?
How was that? Wow. I think, to be honest with you, I was a bit scared. I was scared. First of all, I think, there was all sorts of things that was going through my mind. I had some family members that still lived where my dad lived, and so I don't know. It was a bit of it took a lot of courage, I would say, but I think something that I needed to have done that. And so meeting my dad, I think he didn't know that I was going to come. So I took the plane ticket. Actually, one of my really good friends came with me. He said as soon as he heard that I was going to make the trip to go see my dad, he said, "You know what? I think I want to come with you." And he's one of my closest
Just to be
friends.
emotional support.
I guess so.
Good friend.
Really good friend. A good friend. I mean, he's a brother, brother. And so my dad didn't know that I was coming. And, but I actually got in touch with one of his daughters, and I told him, and I forgot to say that at that point, my dad's health began to deteriorate. And so, you will hear news, he's not doing too good, he's not doing too well. I think that also played in terms of how I began to feel.
Almost put
it's like
a time limit on it in some ways.
Yeah, and I think your conscience and just yourself as a person is like, you know what, I would really hate for something to happen, and
you missed that.
I missed the opportunity to reconnect, and so I got in touch with one of his daughters, and but she also didn't know that I was coming. But I was just saying, I kind of said, you know what, hey, got your number, can maybe send me your address, where do you guys live? Of course, at that point, his health began to deteriorate, so he needed support. And so I arrived in specifically, I'm from, where my dad is from Angola, and my mom is from Congo, and so, but he lived in Congo. So I went, and the first time that I met him, the first time that I met him, the first encounter after so long, the first thing I remember him saying, he says, all things are possible. I really believed that I would never see you again. I really believed that I was going to die and never see you again. So to be honest with you, I think he actually wanted to see me. And I realized that it wasn't that he didn't care. I guess maybe just life and the fact that we would, the distance and I mean, of course, just other complications made it that we didn't build that relationship. But at that point, to be honest with you, he looked. I mean, he was sitting when I walked into, I think it was like a living room, and he literally just kind of like, dropped his head, and he was a bit emotional. And at that point, I found the courage. I was like, you know what? Let me approach him. So I approached him, and I gave him a big hug. Say hi, wow. Dad, and he really had I mean,
was that shame? Was that, what do you think? What do you think? What emotion was your dad feeling? Do you think that caused his head to go down?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether it was shame, but I don't think it was shame. I think I think maybe he considered it a miracle that I will take. I mean, I had a man with beard, and he hadn't seen me since I was quite.
But you were probably older seeing him then than he was when you last saw him.
Yes,
which is pretty surreal.
So when he saw me, he was like, and of course, when you see my dad, we look
really
like wow. they are very strong features.
Yeah,
and so when he saw me, he knew, like he's like, man, like. But it was an emotional experience. I think it was just, for me personally, how I've reacted to that, I was like, I was glad that I did it. It did something to me. It reconciled something inside of me.
Yeah. And did you continue to have a relationship with him then?
I did.
And how was that? How did that work out?
To be honest with you, I think, one thing that I really can say, and I'm going to put the name of God has been amazing. I'm a firm believer in the divine. And I would say the way that we began to speak and began to kind of connect, he would call me, I would call him. And of course, at that point, his health, wasn't doing well. And of course, he would get better. He would deteriorate. And so in my heart, I really began I feel, I need to support financially. And so I took responsibility to kind of make sure that he had what he needed, in his moment of struggle and the health situation that he was going through.
That's amazing. So you've gone from growing up with your dad actually not being the one providing what he should have been in those formative years. So for you to get to the point where you're then reconnecting with him and then you're actually providing and looking after him, that's pretty radical. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that or found it helpful, please do click the like button. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about all our latest videos. Finally, if you're in a position right now to support Care for the Family, you can do so following the link in the video description. As a thank you, we'll send you a load of resources for you and your family. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.